Welcome to Are We Gonna Talk About It with Ty
and Taryn. It is a space where we have candid conversations surrounding
faith, marriage,
family, and ministry.
Here we go.
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
I
What's
got my straw
up?
back in my cup.
There you go. I got my hot cocoa.
And y'all already know what's up in this cup.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for streaming. Thank you for jumping in. Thank you for listening or watching wherever you're getting this content.
Thank you.
I thank y'all for being here. Welcome to Are We Gonna Talk About It?
Welcome back.
I'm excited about this episode because anytime we talking about relationships and marriage and all of them things, man, it gets really good.
Oh, that's what we're talking about today?
Oh, that's what we're talking about today. I got my hot cocoa because bro, that fall just hit.
Man, that weather, like, no, let me tell you this. I've been like delaying turning the heat on. I'm like, okay, we doing good, because it get hot around the noonday. I sound like a seasoned person.
In the noonday.
It get hot around the noonday, but around like the 3 or 4 o'clock, hour, it gets hot, and so I don't like to even have the heat on. But in the morning time now, I was like freezing to the point where I had my long thick robe on because I'm just like, okay, but I didn't want to turn the heat on yet because I'm like, it's not time to turn the heat on. But this week, bruh, that heat came on.
This week, what I think is really funny though is that almost a month ago we started having some problems with our AC.
Yeah,
and that's when it was super hot.
Yeah,
we had an entire week that was like upper 80s, and so it's like we suffocating for our upstairs unit,
and then like a difference of a week,
and then real quick out of nowhere everything gets cold, and I'm like, bro, we don't even need you no more.
But we still gonna get you fixed because we need you covered under that warranty.
So we got that all fixed, and right after we got it fixed, now it's like we need this heat. We need crank that heat up. So I tried to throw y'all live this morning. This morning I woke up, I was cold getting out of bed. So I went over to that thermostat and I was like, boop, boop, boop.
But you be turning it all the way. Yeah.
Bro, but how did you feel when you got out of bed?
I was fine, but
exactly. You didn't get out cold, did you?
No, I didn't get out my bed cold.
That's it.
I guess
there
maybe
it is.
I'm just hot-natured right now.
There it is. But you've been cold.
But yeah, that weather is here. Fall is in full effect,
This is my favorite time of year.
Mine too. I mean, of course. Why wouldn't it be?
Season.
You married me in the fall. Hello.
Yes, I did. And I'm still falling.
Oh, I love it. All right, turn the camera off. We got some things to handle here.
Hey. Fall is my favorite time of year. It's hoodie season. And like you were saying earlier, sweater
weather. Sweater weather. Can you say it?
No, I can't.
Oh man, come on.
Sweater weather. Say it 3 times.
Yeah. No, why you
try? Just go for it.
No, I just left the dentist.
Loose your tongue.
No.
Loose your tongue.
It's numb right now, y'all. I went to the dentist today, and so my mouth is numb. Like one side is drooping.
I'm sorry.
The other side is lifted high and lifted up. And I got a whole situation, but I'm here by the grace of God. By the grace of God.
It, y'all.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, we excited about fall. As you can tell, y'all, we both love the fall. Just like the weather, like the being able to be outside. And,
I love it.
We got the fire pit going.
Oh,
we already did that.
Some marshmallows.
One weekend already, but we got many more to come. Marshmallows, s'mores.
What's y'all's favorite season?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know. Just drop it in the chat. Drop it in the comments. Let us know your favorite season, your favorite time of year, and why. One thing I can't do is the summer.
Oh, I can do the summer. I mean, I was born in the summer, August baby here, but I think I like the early part going from spring to summer. And then I like
absolutely.
From summer to fall, like when it starts.
Spring and fall is my 2 favorite, but fall is.
It was spring. You were born in the spring too, right?
Yeah.
So, but I actually like summer. I like heat. I don't know.
Thank you.
It's good to me.
You can have it.
But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump into this episode for today. So Ty and I actually had the opportunity to go be a part of an event in Richmond, Virginia, and it was called Jesus and R&B. It was a cool event, and we were actually the first up to share. It was like a relationship event, and so we were one of the main speakers for the stage, and we had a topic that we want to bring to the podcast today called what?
Wish we had a nude.
Wish I would have nude. What I wish I would have nude.
What I wish I would have known before getting married.
Yes.
And I think it's an amazing topic because and let me let me lay the groundwork. Like when we got married, I think we had very good premarital counseling.
Definitely.
Let me say that.
Yeah.
We had from a bunch of different sources. From your pastors, from my pastors, from your parents, from my parents, from marriage coaches, we even and mentors.
Took the class too, right?
Marriage readiness class, all of those things. We had a very, very good prep going into marriage, and so these things that we're sharing today is not necessarily these are the things that you absolutely need to know before you get married, but these are the things that, man, you know what? I didn't know this going into marriage.
Yeah,
and not necessarily because we didn't have good coaching, but it's just like.
There are things that you just won't know until after you get married,
and these are some of those things.
It's some of those things. I think understanding that and this is actually go into the first one that we want to share today is about they will change, and so of course we say this person as your initial friend, boyfriend, girlfriend. Then you kind of graduate into of course, fiance. And then once you get married, now you're seeing them as a total complete person because you're more up close and personal with that person. And you're seeing so many different sides of them that probably initially you could not see. Yeah. I mean, just how they do things, how they flow. But the main thing is understanding that they will change. Who you marry is definitely not who you that's definitely not the same person in the next year. You celebrate that 1 year anniversary, and we do this. We kind of go and kind of have a heart-to-heart check about, okay, what do you like now? What don't you like now? What works for you now? Every single year on our anniversary, we kind of touch on some of those things. Did we do it this year?
We didn't, man.
No, we didn't.
This year anniversary was a little bit different, but we didn't have a chance to do that. But
we got to do that.
We need to do that.
Yeah.
We try to do that every year just to catch up and make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
But I think you said it you should always constantly be growing and evolving. I think a really good example of this is, when I met you and you were just a friend. And so as a friend, there's a certain level to the relationship. It's these are my boundaries. These are my restrictions, respect what I have going on in my life. But then when I say, hey, I'm interested in getting to know you on a deeper level, and it crosses over and we put a title on it and you become girlfriend. Yeah. Once you get that title, then it's okay, this is exclusive. So now I have
a new expectation.
Yeah. And exclusive access to other areas of your life that I would not have had before because you're he's not even committed to me enough to give a title. So why should I commit my time and my energy? Yeah. You might be entertaining a whole bunch of other people, right? So on that same level, again, just kind of escalating it or advancing it to marriage. Once you get engaged, again, I'm not married yet, but you're at least giving me this ring as a promise, hey,
this is what we're working towards.
Exactly. We're on the same page as to what we want in this relationship.
And you'll see sides come out even through the whole the wedding planning process. Engagement process. Because you're for us, of course, we were getting counseling during that time of our engagement, but then we were also trying to plan a wedding. And mind you, we were long distance. And so bringing everything together, but you start to see different, more sides of that person in that phase of life.
And I think that's one of the things that caught me off guard when we got married, because I had always thought I know you pretty well. I've learned you pretty well. But then once you started to evolve and to change, then I'm I don't know this person as well as I thought. And so even from the transition from engagement to marriage, once we got married, it's now I am living with you, sleeping in the same bed with you, brushing my teeth with you, waking up to you, you're seeing everything. So obviously that's a big jump. But then I think the next biggest jump for me, was learning you as a mother. I was I know Taryn, but I don't know Mama Bear. I don't know Mother Duck. You know what I mean? I don't know that side of you to see that protective side. Yeah. You're protective of me to a certain extent. That's my husband. I'm a fight for him. I'm a pray for him. Yeah. But it's a whole different side of protection when you're talking about your babies. Kids. And so just seeing that growth, because you always should be growing and expanding, is just something I think that kind of kind of surprised me a little bit because I'm like, I thought I knew her, but I don't know this.
And so that's
side
the thing.
Of her.
Something you said along with that, it just made me think about how, you know, when God created us, he created us like so unique. Like, of course, nobody has the same fingerprint. Mm-hmm. Like everybody is different. Everybody's complex and so detailed. Yeah. So I think it's a disservice to go into a relationship and think that you got a person figured out. Good. And then, of course, God being who he is, like, of course, he doesn't change, but we are constantly being transformed into his image and after his likeness. And so if that is the case, change has to happen.
Change has to happen.
Change should be happening
because we should constantly be evolving.
We should be constantly be evolving into looking like
us to be.
Yeah, exactly. And so and becoming the best version of ourselves. I like when somebody said that.
Oh, that's good.
So it's just like, you don't want to keep that person that you're in a relationship with in a box, and you should not allow them to keep you in a box. So if that's something that your dating phase, you already seeing like flags and signs of that, like they don't like when I step out, or they don't like when I pursue this or do this, and it's not a valid reason as to why they don't.
When that is who you
are, and you're genuinely and authentically living to who you are and who God has called you to be. Mm-hmm. That's a flag.
Those are non-negotiables.
Yeah. So
I think it's really important.
I'm just playing.
Run. I think it's really important what you said, that God is the way that God created us. When you get married, you're not marrying the finished product. Mm-hmm. Of that person.
That's good. Yeah.
You're marrying the version that is constantly evolving and constantly growing. And so, again, when we got married, I'm thinking like, okay, I know her. Like, not like I got you figured out, but it's just like, I know the things that I need to know about. So I know how to essentially work with her and handle her. Mm-hmm. Not in a bad sense, but like to know that God is still working on you. I know how to love you. Mm-hmm. God is still working on you and still pulling out of you what he put on the inside of you. So if it's still a discovery process for you,
or even for me, right,
then obviously there's a bunch of rediscovering, you know what I mean, that I need to have on my end as well.
And being open. Yeah.
For you, right. Being open to what that looks like. And I like to use this example too. Like, I did not know that love languages change. And I know we have talked about that a little bit on an episode before, but that's one of the things that just like blew my mind. I'm just like, no, nah, I got
that's
her.
You. That's what you're supposed to stick with. But it definitely changes. One example for us, I think, initially getting married, I think I was more about that quality time and what else?
Your main thing was quality time, and affirmation was, I think, one of yours too earlier. I don't know if it was at the same time.
But now, 11 years in the game, I
don't need no affirmation. I don't need you to speak well.
Wait, I still do need affirmation. I actually need affirmation. I do.
But there is something that you need much more.
I need something much more, and that is acts of service. But I also told you recently, like, I'm becoming a gifts person. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you already know, like a certain type of gifts that speaks to me and that blesses me. So when we went, even for our anniversary, you were like, look, after breakfast, we're going to go and grab, you can pick out some clothes. I was like, yes, like, I was actually really excited about it. And for me, that was a gift. You didn't like go out and purchase anything, but knowing, like that made me feel.
But that was acts of service and giving, gifts. And gifts. Yeah, because we hopped in the car and you was like, so where we going? Mm-hmm. But I'm already about to get on the highway.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I'm like, well, you
turning your head like, was I doing all of that?
I think you were. But having it already mapped out, then I think that's part of your love language as well, which, those are things that I'm still learning.
But for you, I think, what was it? Like when we first got married, what was like one of your love languages? It hasn't always been quality time. I wouldn't say, has it always?
One of mine was quality time then as well.
Yeah, but I don't think that was like the top one. Maybe affirmation. It could have been affirmation.
It may have been affirmation. Yeah. I think it was partly gifts.
Okay.
A little bit, but mine has changed as well.
Oh yeah, yours is now with touch.
Mine is physical touch. Yeah. And affirmation.
Yeah.
But I think those are two.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah. But it's also which I think is interesting as well, because I think earlier in our marriage, I think it was interesting because you, I think, had more need of me in the home.
Yeah.
Like where.
But it also depends on the dynamic and the, kind of just. So for me, I moved all the way from Alabama to Virginia. And so I think because that was a whole transition, that kind of, had me to be in that place where I wanted that quality time, because I was away
from
city,
new place, new church,
and
new
so
job.
I think sometimes, you have to give regard to the season of your life that you're in, and that will
that's what you needed for that moment. And that's what you need for that moment.
Yeah.
Being that that's what you needed for that moment, again, we had just gotten married.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, this is who she is. This is what she desires. Not realizing that was just what you needed for that season.
Yeah.
Right. And so then in other seasons of our lives, it's not that you don't need those things, but other things become priority.
Yeah. Especially when you have a home
and you have kids.
Yeah. It's just, it changes. It changes.
Yeah,
and so you will change in marriage. Like that's definitely,
you have to change.
You have to,
but you also have to adjust and you have to evolve.
And you have to
all
talk
of the changes
about
that are being made.
You got to talk about it. You can't just, so another example, and I don't know if we shared this before, but for me, I began to feel like I need space, but I didn't have words for it at the time. But eventually, I guess Holy Spirit helped me out to be able to communicate it to Ty. I don't know if it came where it was like one of those situations like we need to talk and then it came out. I don't know. But we had a conversation and I realized like, look, I need space in the morning time. I'm noticing some things about myself. You notice some things about myself. Like, I guess what I'm realizing is that I have to have a few more minutes to myself, like before I come out and, talk to and engage with everybody else.
Yeah.
But that was another change that we kind of had to talk about, and we did have to talk about.
Again, like that's another thing that I think that changed with both of us, because when we first got married, I was more so the person like, I need some space.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm okay with being out the house all day. I'm okay. Both of us are commuting separate ways. And so I'm like, I'm okay with being outside the house all day. And then I see you in the evening. But that's changed as well, because now I'm more so like, hey, I need you. All right, we need some time for us.
I want to be by myself
right
now.
I don't want anything.
I don't want anything but Jesus.
My bed, Jesus, and coffee.
And coffee. That's
and a
all.
good series.
And a very good series after I have my time with Jesus.
But yeah, right. But things will change, and so that's the point. Things will change, but obviously, and we say this pretty often too, that if you're not growing together, you're growing apart. You should always be growing. You should always be advancing. But if you're not communicating, if we're not talking through that process, then obviously we're growing apart.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one.
All right.
Because we got a really good ones, because we want to try to give y'all as much as we can in this episode.
Yeah. It might have to be a 2-part.
Yeah. So the second one that we have is, we don't have to be uniform to be unified.
I love that one.
We don't have to be uniform to be unified. And so for me, I think that there is a way that we can be on the same page about the most important things that we absolutely need to agree on. But I do think that it is okay to disagree on minor things.
Yeah.
On things that are not important, on things that are not life altering or life changing, or not
compromising to the marriage.
Yeah, not compromising, or we're not, compromising even our standards or our relationship with God, any of those type of things. I think those things are okay to have disagreements on. For instance, I know earlier in our marriage, it's like it would turn into a disagreement or an argument over where the bread needs to go. I specifically remember, like, when we first got married, like, why like peanut butter going in the refrigerator?
Is it in the refrigerator
or going in the pantry? But then I found out that
you read your labels,
right? But
if you read.
But what I found out though was the type of peanut butter that we were buying had to be refrigerated.
Yeah.
After open.
Yeah.
But I ain't gonna say no brands. But the brands that I was used to getting was open it up, you can put it back in the pantry.
And that's how we were, I think, raised too.
Yeah, but just simple things around like the house, like where things should go in the cabinets, or where we should
fold the towels.
How to fold the towels. Let's not talk about that.
But those are definitely simple things. I think there are some more some additional things along with that. Like one that's big for me when it comes to this particular topic is like me not feeling like, okay, well, if Ty doesn't do it with me, then that means I shouldn't do it. Or if he doesn't sign, like, not necessarily you sign off, because you might be like, yeah, if you want to do it, go for it. If you want to go to the store and do whatever, go for it, But it's just like, I think sometimes, like, women, of course, we want the husband to kind of be like, all right, like, let's do this together. Like, everything has to be done together. And I always say, if it's not compromising my marriage, if my husband did not say that he did not want me to do something, then why am I holding myself back from doing it? And so for me, that's really big, because it's just like, yeah, we're still unified, but he might not necessarily do the exact same things that I want to do. I think one time I really had a desire to do some painting in our home. And at the time, he had his plate full. He didn't really care to do it at that time. And it wasn't even something that was a priority. It was something I wanted to do. And at one point, I was just like, well, why isn't he getting on board?
I wish he would do it.
And help me out and support. Because I think in our minds, it feels like you're not supporting us. But then it wasn't like, oh, I'm not supporting you. I just got a lot of this, as we talked about.
And if I can give my perspective, my thing was just like, I'm okay with the paint, that the color that it is.
Yeah.
If we want to have it painted, sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Right now, I don't have the time to paint it, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But you obviously could have taken that as, well, he doesn't want it painted. He doesn't want to do it. And so let me just wait for him to decide to do it.
It's vexing me, like, to walk in, in a space, and I'm like, no, something has to change. And so creativity, all of that type of stuff, it's just like in marriage, you're not going to always do the exact same thing. And so I've heard where some women may wanted to really pursue something, but they didn't because their husband wasn't interested, not necessarily on board. He's like, if that's what you want to do, you do it. But the husband wasn't interested like that person. And so they didn't even pursue whatever they wanted to pursue.
Yeah. So I do think it's still important to have that support, not support in I'm going to hold your hand and walk with you through the entire process, but support at least signing off to say, yeah, that's fine, that's cool, like definitely. That's okay. I know it's been a few times that you said, hey, let's get a couples massage, or hey, let's go get a pedicure together, and I'm like,
I always try to throw that at you,
and I'm just like, I mean,
if that's what you want to do, and that's what you say, you like, if that's what you want to do, then. But sometimes I take that like I really like, sometimes you want to hear your spouse be like, sure, like, let's come together, but realizing it don't happen that way all the time, and that's okay.
And I think so, like that, I think that's an important thing to realize, because I think when the two shall become one, we automatically think I no longer can have my individual or personal interests. Like, I can't be interested in the things that I like apart from my spouse.
Yeah.
So if I'm really into sports and I want to go to the Hornets game, or I want to go see the Panthers, of course, I would love it if my wife would come. I'd be like, bro, that is the sexiest thing ever. Especially if my wife is the one to book the tickets and say, hey, we going to the game.
Are you throwing hints?
I'm not, but I mean, it's here nor there.
You take it, I'll leave it out there for you to catch.
Every man watching this, listening right now, he already knows. If wife sits down and he playing his video games and she sits down with him like, hey, can I play? He'd be like, woo, look at this right here, right? But at the same time, it's like, but if you say, babe, I don't mind you going, like, go to the game. I got the kids today. But it's different if I say I'm going to the game and I don't care about if I have permission or I have her support at all. That is a little different. But obviously, all I need is, babe, it's cool. I got the kids today.
Agreement.
Do what you want to do. I don't want to go to the game.
Agreement.
The agreement is the biggest part.
Agreement. Yeah, I like that, because I know we're saying support, and that support can be kind of broad, because you think like support, that means you should be doing what I'm doing. But it's just like, no, you might not necessarily have that person do that, but as long as you have that agreement, like, all right, this is how we gonna do it.
Yeah,
it works.
So even the Bible talks about excuse me, how can two walk together except they agree.
Yeah.
And there's another translation that says, how can two walk together unless they're going to the same place? Mm-hmm. And then my mind started going, because I'm just like, in marriage, as we are one, as in inviting Christ into our relationship, we should be unified on everything, even if it is something that I'll come back to this, something that we disagree about. I'll come back to that, just a mental note. But we often think like we got to get rid of our own personal traits and qualities and things that we're interested in. Mm-hmm. But when I start thinking like, but if we're going to the same place, is it possible that we can have two different ideas of how to get there, but we still get there both ways? Yeah. We'll be riding in the car and it's just like, babe, why you turning right here? Mm-hmm. Well, I like to go this way.
Where you going?
Yeah, but we're going to get there either way. Yeah. But essentially it's just like, well, both ways can get us there, but you got your way. You like the quickest route. I like the scenic route. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's just like that is who we are, the destination, but we still have the same destination in mind. We're still going to the same place, right? Yeah. And so what I was saying about what I tell you,
how
this
can two walk together except they
about us disagreeing.
Oh, okay.
One of the other things that we do is one of the other verses about don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've explained before was just like there's a difference between wrath and a disagreement. Mm-hmm. There's a huge difference between wrath. And so it's like some people think, well, I can't go to sleep with wrath in my heart. But if we had a disagreement, that's not wrath. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that you are angry or upset. You can have a disagreement and say, what is it that we often say when we have a disagreement and it ain't going nowhere?
It's unproductive.
This is unproductive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Babe, this ain't going nowhere.
We recognize
can
it.
We,
like, this
can
is,
we take
this
we know it. When we get to that place where it's like,
okay,
we're going in circles. Okay. You're not hearing me. I'm not hearing you. Yeah. So we're really like, this is either going to escalate and get blown out of proportion or it's going to go nowhere. Yeah. And so at that moment,
let it burn. I'm just
wait a minute. So at that point,
that's what I heard about.
I mean, just impulse. Just let it fly.
I'm sorry, y'all. It's that stuff they numbed me with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blame it on the drugs, right?
Get back to seriousness.
So you made me lose my train of thought.
No, you said it's not wrath. It's
yeah,
just
yeah, and so we'll often say, let's table this. We'll come back to this. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, I also say we're okay.
We're good. Like, you will reassure that we are good.
Because that's the unified part of it. That's the part of us being on. We're still on the same page. Mm-hmm. I don't really understand you right now. I don't know what you're thinking, but we're going to be unified in we are okay.
We are good.
I didn't say we're getting a divorce. Mm-hmm. I didn't say we're sleeping in separate rooms. I didn't say I hate you. Yeah. Right now, we just can't resolve this. Let's talk about this tomorrow.
And that leaves room for the Holy Spirit, too, to come in.
It does. And if you don't, it leaves room for the enemy.
Yeah.
Ooh, right. But it does. It absolutely leaves room for the Holy Spirit when you can walk away from a conversation and you can say, I don't know what's going on, but I'm in a safe space. Because my mind doesn't have to wonder about the consequences of this disagreement that we just had. Yeah. Like, I'm still safe.
I love that.
We still good.
We still good.
Yeah.
I like
and
that.
I think that's where probably a lot of people fall out. Like, they don't know that they're safe in a disagree, or they're afraid to disagree. Because if I do, will this bring up something that I'll regret?
Yeah.
Will this end with me having to sleep on the sofa? Will this end with me having to go to my mom's house? Will this end with you throwing out haphazardly the divorce word? Will this end with, see, this is why I didn't want to marry you in the first?
So
will this end? Yeah, and so you can't even have the hard conversations to try to get on the same page because you're not in a safe space.
That's good.
And that's one of the things I love about our marriage.
Oh man, I think we done went over our time today, but we got 2 more points. So what should we do?
I think we should have a part 2.
Part 2? Okay.
I think we should have a part 2.
I figured we were gonna probably have to do a part 2 though.
Agreement.
All right. Thank
y'all look out. Y'all look out for part 2
coming the following. Y'all know how we do. We release these videos every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. You can catch it before you even make it to work. Hopefully it's at 7 a.m.
It normally is.
Yeah,
I think we do pretty good.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're pretty consistent.
All right, we'll see y'all in part 2.
All right.
Enjoy your day. Bye.